Meet the current DA of Tarrant County, who doesn't seem to do anything productive all day long, as cases keep piling up higher and higher. This is part 1 in a series of Do Not Vote for Phil Sorrells for District Attorney of Tarrant County. We all thought for sure we were going to have a district attorney that was going to be honest, fair, and transparent, one that would follow the Constitution and be fair to everybody. Boy, were we wrong. We should have smelled a rat, because Phil Sorrells married a very rich woman, and that rich woman had a very rich daddy, and that daddy wanted Phil Sorrells to win, so he threw a bunch of money into the campaign, making sure of it. And her daddy had a friend named Donald Trump, and Donald Trump threw a bunch of money into it too and endorsed him. And then, to win over the voters, Phil Sorrells said he was going to be tough on crime and he was going to back the police. And this is what he had to say in an interview.
Phil Sorrells, Republican candidate for Tarrant County DA, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for letting me come on.
Of course. And so let me start by asking, why should voters select you over your opponent, Tiffany Burks?
Right. I think, first of all, you can just look to the police is the first place to look. The police have endorsed me. You talk about the Fort Worth Police Officer Association, the Dallas Police Officer Association, Arlington Municipal Patrolman Association, Tarrant County Law Enforcement Association, the sheriff, Sharon Wilson. They're all saying you should select Phil Sorrells as your next district attorney. And those are the people that are out there on the front lines, out there on the street saying, we're out there arresting these criminals and we want to make sure that justice is served in the courts, and the best way to do that is to elect Phil Sorrells.
It's so weird to talk about yourself in third person, but anyways, the police gave their endorsement or their support to Phil Sorrells, but they wanted something in return. And Phil Sorrells is like, anything, what can I give you in return? And they said, well, if we give you our support, you have to give us your support, which means you can't put any of our guys in jail no matter what. And he's like, yeah, I can do that, no problem. Allegedly. And he hasn't. Let's take a look at some of the police that Phil Sorrells has not put in jail.
New details in a deadly police shooting. The Arlington Police Department has released body cam video and has fired the officer who used deadly force to stop a driver. Officer Robert Phillips has lost his job in the wake of that confrontation. The chief went public with the release of the video, showing the moments leading up to the officer's decision to open fire. We have to warn you, we're going to show you the portions of that shooting, and some of what you are about to see and hear may be disturbing. Here's Lily Zhang.
Fisher led police on a slow-speed chase. It came to an end in a neighborhood south of Pioneer Parkway near Collins Street, where Fisher began to drive toward police.
Don't you do it! Don't you do it! Today I had to sit down with Mr. Fisher's father to talk about this video.
Arlington Police Chief Al Jones announced Friday the officer who fired the weapon, Robert Phillips, has been terminated. According to Chief Jones, there were other options.
He could have backed up behind the vehicle and allowed the vehicle to go by. He could have stayed in his vehicle so that he didn't put himself in a situation where he had to use deadly force.
That officer did get indicted for murder, but Phil Sorrells, because he's endorsed by the police, he dismissed those charges. And then there's the case of Officer Miller, who is escorting a prisoner, a drunk one at that, into the jail.
Earlier this year, here's some video they shared with us showing what happens. Former Officer Mitchell Miller throws a man arrested for public intoxication down to the ground. He falls face first right onto the concrete. And according to Fort Worth PD, he lost consciousness. The department says Miller then failed to report the incident, and then he denied it ever even happened.
So even though he lied and even though he hurt that man and knocked him unconscious, he got his job back after doing some retraining. And then there's this beatdown. Fort Worth police are doing an inventory on a stolen vehicle when a bystander complains that they're scratching his car that's parked right next to it. Watch this beatdown. The citizen is upset because the door is scratching his vehicle.
Okay. You heard what I said? Get the You hit my car.
Oh shit, hold on.
First off, the officer used profanity, and then he escalated and pushed the citizen away. Here's slow-mo of the female officer's body cam where you can actually see
the closed fist of the officer hitting the citizen who was concerned about his car being scratched. And of course, Phil Sorrells did not indict this officer either. That's because the police officers all gave him their endorsement, so he can't indict any of them. That was the promise he made, allegedly. And then there's this excessive force case for a lady who littered in Hearst, Texas, Tarrant County.
No.
Well, it's going to take it because it's your citation.
I don't want it.
That's your citation. That's littering. Step out of the car.
No, don't do that. I'm not stepping out.
The officer is seen grabbing her by the neck, trying to pull her out. Her 15-year-old son, whose dad is a police officer, is heard begging for it to end.
Stop, please, please.
The officer then takes her to the ground. Other officers move in.
Stop, please, stop.
It was an unimaginable escalation by a law enforcement officer.
Thompson's attorney, Lee Merritt, says she ended up with a black eye and a torn lip requiring stitches. The Hearst Police Department says it investigated claims of excessive use of force and then closed the case, saying it found the claims to be unfounded.
There's clearly an escalation.
Del Carmen says the officer engaged in behavior that is prohibited by policy.
It's just not necessary to do that as a result of a citation.
Del Carmen says the officer had choices, but instead
he loses his cool.
Of course, we all remember this one where Officer Kruger knocked me unconscious 10 seconds after he said my name, and Phil Sorrells refused to indict him for anything, even though he almost killed me.
Hey ladies, hey ladies, hey ladies, hey Kruger.
They had no police tape up, they had no lights in the area.
Fort Worth police releasing this body camera video Wednesday afternoon, showing the officer asking Rodriguez to move and then arresting her and shoving her onto the ground. Rodriguez claims she was knocked unconscious.
I don't remember an officer hitting me, but I remember him tackling me, grabbing me from behind. And the next thing I know is I woke up in the hospital, chained to the bed, handcuffed to the bed.
Police tell us Rodriguez was taken to the hospital and also booked into jail on charges including resisting arrest and interference of public duties.
If you were to give a number to how many times something similar has happened to you, what would you say?
I've been arrested like this probably about 5 or 6 times.
And Rodriguez says she plans to file a civil suit against the department. And meanwhile, Fort Worth City Council is also planning to hold an executive session on this incident this coming Friday.
This is just part 1, but you're probably wondering why I'm putting this whole series together. And the whole series is being put together because of these reasons right here. Number 1, you're nothing but a puppet for the police. They pull your strings and you act or don't act. Nobody likes a puppet. And number 2, it's for all the victims where you refuse to prosecute their police aggressor. Not just me, but all the victims. Here's your third reason. The third reason is in your campaign you say you're going to back the blue, you're going to be hard on criminals, and you're going to be really tough on immigrants. But nowhere in your campaign do you say that you're going to follow the Constitution. That's really fucked up. And that's why I'm doing this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Keep watching for part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5.